Hello, everybody, and welcome to the weekly brought to you by Pocketnow and XDA developers, recorded on Saturday, April 27, 2019. Okay, so this episode is coming out a little bit later, but if you followed Pocketnow's Twitter and also saw the post on YouTube, then you would know that Jaime and myself, our podcast team usually for these kinds of shows, we were both traveling. We were out in Spain for IFA GPC, which is their global press conference, and it's a wonderful show. It's different from IFA proper, run by the same people, but we get into why the global press conference is pretty important because it gives you a peek behind the curtain when it comes to all of the products that we talk about, some of the market research and whatnot. A lot of our tech friends were also here as well, so it was obviously a good time, and one of them joined us for this episode. This is Isa Rodriguez of Her GadgetMatch coming onto the show. The three of us talk about IFA GPC. I ask Isa what is in her pocket now, and then we get into the Galaxy Fold and its delays. And we also talk a little bit about why it might have been delayed, why we think that the Galaxy Fold is an important device, and how smartphones are becoming fun again. In any case, that is what is coming up on the 355th episode of the Pocketnow Weekly. Let's go ahead and get into the episode. All right, so I want a bit of an explanation. Yeah, I'm sitting on the bed, but I figured, I could just stay in the center. It's all good. I want a bit of an explanation because this is the first time for both me and Isa. What exactly this event is that we're here? The word IFA's in it.
Yeah.
But it's something completely different.
So the Global Press Conference has been their medium for partners to... So obviously there is IFA, but IFA becomes more a press conference for everybody else.
Okay.
It becomes a press conference for Huawei, for all the brands that are going to show off their products. And their Global Press Conference, which is what we're at here, is their show, where they do have partners, but it's all about this is where the market trends are going, and this is why IFA is now expanding to this. And so they have different products like IFA Next. They have an automotive show. They have a home appliances show. And so if you go to IFA, you notice that you can see refrigerators, washing machines, just as much as you see phones. And so I guess that because of their connection to GFU, which is probably one of the most prestigious companies in charge of providing market insights, it's like, if you notice, they start with the stats and then they tell you where they're going. And so it's literally, this is where the market's at, this is what's grown, this is what's not grown, this is what's new. And then comes the press conference, which is like, we're launching this to cater to that. We're launching this to cater to that. And so for me, it's always useful to be here because if you notice, we go to different events, but these are all product oriented. We're going to do foldables, we're going to do wearables, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, and this is the only show we participate in where you understand why.
Okay, that's a good way to put it.
Where somebody explains to you why we're moving into this. Did you notice how much smart speakers have grown? How much wireless audio has grown?
Every time those slides came up, I was like, yeah, that makes perfect sense because once you start to smart up products, of course, the demand will go up. But, of course, the actual product itself, before it gets Google Assistant, before it gets Alexa, have to be good to begin with.
And so you notice, for example, how they're like...
It made me happy to see that.
And you notice how they dissect things, where they're like, 60% of the consumer market is smartphones, and then this, and then this, and this. And then they had a slide where it was like 1% is portable speakers, 1% is wireless audio. But then they're like, all right, let me dissect that 1% and show you where it's at. This is where the market's growing. The smart speakers have grown 23%. And and I like how they go to the point where they're like, and they haven't just grown 23%, but they've grown 23% in the most expensive sector. Meaning people are willing to invest in higher quality audio for a smart speaker. And you've noticed how Amazon Echo speakers were terrible at the beginning. Now they're actually really good, regardless if you pay for the $30 one or the $100 one. You've noticed how, I hate to say it, but I just have to, how AirPods launched and how wireless audio is now the mainstream. It's huge.
She knows
how it's grown, and you notice how much people are paying for it.
That's true. We were just joking about this, about how people have AirPods on, and it's sort of a status symbol.
Yeah.
But now people
it's
are coming out.
Like you see someone with AirPods, and they're all like, "Oh, that guy's rich."
Yeah. But now people are actually coming out and saying, "Well, I used it, and it was a great experience. It's not necessarily these are Apple products,
Yeah.
but it's a great experience overall. It's a product that gives you that.
And what I find really interesting is that like we came here, she wasn't sure how much she could actually cover, being from the lifestyle side.
Right.
Yeah.
As it turns out, IFA GPC,
This is more for
it's
you.
Yeah.
all lifestyle.
And so this is actually the first show that's actually not necessarily for us. Like last year we had Sennheiser. Sennheiser's a big partner, but they had no
Yes.
products here.
Yes.
We had Sennheiser. There was the Porsche Design
last year.
laptop. Yeah.
Okay.
No, that was in Lisbon. The Porsche Design plus Sennheiser. And then last year we had the Huawei P20 Pro was given even more insight here. And it was like the first time that Huawei used this platform. But Huawei is one of their major partners.
Okay.
And then in the first
Yeah.
then in the first GPC that I participated, what was it?
It wasn't Hong Kong, was it?
It was in Hong Kong.
Okay.
Wow.
They go everywhere, by the way.
They
IFA
go
GPC
everywhere.
goes
Crazy.
everywhere. And when we saw the pictures up there, I was like, Hong Kong would have been dope.
Oh my god! I can't wait for them to like use Japan.
Yes.
Because nobody makes a show in Japan.
But who makes who? Well, there are some, but we just never get invited to them. They're very insulated in that sense.
Japan is a very special market. Like it's very unique. So I feel like that's one main reason. But it's so
Well, you
weird.
were there
I was
recently.
just
I
there.
hate
It's
you.
beautiful. Oh
I
my
am so
gosh.
jealous of
Oh
you and
my
Nicole,
gosh.
damn
It
it.
blows my mind. And we're flying back this June. So
Yeah.
Oh my god!
I'm excited.
But yeah, no. GPC is more the show before the show.
Okay.
And the show that explains where the market's going and why they are evolving into this. And think about it, IFA has been around for nearly almost 100 years.
And there was this guy who's been coming to this show for
He's
how
been
many
working
years?
it for 47 plus years.
Yeah.
As
And
a
so-
photographer.
And so think about it. How is it that a show, like before CES, there was already IFA. Before MWC, there was Mobile World Congress was just a recent thing. Like, this is literally the oldest show, and now you
Yeah.
understand why they've lasted so long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very true.
Because they have evolved into so many different things. And I find it honestly fascinating. For me, it's funny because we were with Michelle from XDA Developers is also here. And he was also like, yeah, no, for me, all these presentations about numbers are interesting. I'm like, dude, I'm geeking out over this. Because it helps me understand that, for example, right now, as a publication, do we cover smart speakers? No.
No.
Now I feel compelled to do so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do we cover wireless audio? We do, but not really.
It's not
Yeah.
focused.
Not focused. Now that I see how much growth there is in the market, it's like this is what we need to cover.
You know what's also very surprising to me? Like, so they're talking about wireless speakers and wireless smart audio and even robot vacuums.
Yeah.
And the thing is, no one really says that, okay, guys, let's start covering robot vacuums because it's a thing.
Yeah.
Because people are looking at smartwatches or,
Yeah.
all these other things. People are saying that's the next hot thing.
Yeah.
But this data is actually saying otherwise.
Yeah, and I'll give you and then you have the other side of the picture where it's like smart televisions, and they're like right now the average price is 800 something euros. And they're like, excuse me, smart TV companies, you're not selling. You're stagnated and nearly on decline. You know why? Because even from a German consumer, which is a high economic power in the world, Germans are not willing to spend more than 600. And they showed the market statistics. They showed, and so unless companies are willing to compete in this market, your market is not going to continue growing. And so, I just did our first ever TV video for Hisense.
That's right.
And so now I'm like, yes, now I'm happy because for me, when we did the video back at CES, I was, they reached out and everything. They're like, we would like for you to sponsor to come over, and I'm like, send me the specs and show me what's special about your product, and I'll tell you if I'm interested. And when I'm like, okay, you're going to give me 4K with this, and you're going to price it at $399.
Oh, God.
I'm like, I'm down.
Yeah.
I'm down because
$399 is a great price.
because I as a consumer, like that immediately, it's like the minute that Google launched the Nexus 7. I remember that they started going through all the specs and everything, and then it's $199, and I'm like, what? It became an impulsive buy.
Yes.
And so for me, a 4K TV that does HDR, has ProMotion, and costs $399, it becomes an impulsive buy for me. And it's also 50-inch.
50-inch.
It's a 50-inch TV.
And
And so I'm like-
according to market research, people want bigger TVs. That's
People
the info
want
they
larger
showed us.
TVs,
Yeah.
but they don't want to pay 800 euros for them.
Can we talk a little bit about, like, speaking of the market research, I want to talk a little bit about the trends that they had at this the final press conference that was here.
Yeah.
Because you had a lot of insight into, I remember the question that you asked.
Yeah.
About how they were lumping together too many forms of media, and there's this whole theme of trust.
It was
consumer trust in
Yes.
institutions, businesses,
Yeah,
and tech.
and they brought Edelman and they brought their trust barometer,
Yeah.
which is a famous publication that they do where they provide market insight over what
I was
is-
so fascinated the whole time.
I was
Yeah, that was
fascinating,
my favorite.
fascinating, but at the same time, I was not infuriated is not the word, but I'm like, okay, this is not well done. Okay, it's well done, but they haven't evolved
Yes,
with
I was
certain
gonna
things.
say
Okay,
that,
so
yeah.
media as a definition, as a word, is simply the propagation of information.
Yes.
Okay? The problem is, obviously, we have social media and traditional media. And so, for example, their premise is that, what was it? That media companies are the least trusted, but the most popular. What was it? It was something like that.
There was something to that effect. What I remember is that the trust in the media has been on a bit of a decline recently. And the trend that I found very interesting is that in the developed world, that's where most of the skepticism is.
Most of the skepticism is. And I'm like, okay, but then when she reached the slide, when she's talking about the fact that, because I think she started noticing that people weren't too happy with the assessment. She's talking to the media.
Yeah,
and she's
exactly.
she's like, dear media, people don't trust you. And I'm like, that's not true.
And to be perfectly honest, I mean, this is just me. In my head, I'm like, if people don't trust us and we are journalists, how is that our fault?
We're part
That's
of what makes a
probably
free
the
democracy possible.
Yeah.
And then where the numbers were high were in the communist countries. And I'm like, wait a second, no. But
you know what I hated about that? I was totally into it. I was like, oh, that's kind of crazy, because I feel like in developed countries there's a healthy skepticism, or even
Yes.
an unhealthy
Yes.
skepticism from people who have information and have the ability to
I
get
was
it.
thinking
So
about
that made
that,
perfect sense to me
yeah.
for China and the underdeveloped countries. But then you guys had to bring up the whole thing of like, yeah, but they're dictatorships.
No, but it's so
I was
funny.
like, that's true.
It's so funny because there was also this number where they go like
Glass
75% of people are wary of fake news. I'm like, dude, that number should be 100. Everyone should be discerning. That's the whole thing.
But here's the thing. It's not until they reach the slide where they separated. Wait a second. Traditional media, people trust you in a 65%. The problem is social media. And I'm like, wait a second. You're wrong, but then again, you're right. You're right
Yeah.
because we call it social media. We shouldn't call it that. It is a medium of sure, it's a way to share information, but it's not. It's a user created forum.
It's a platform,
It's a
basically. It's the
platform.
car that carries you there.
It's literally like, and so I was trying to think of an analogy just to try to explain it to her. I'm like, okay, if I post about our review on Instagram, this is like me walking into a mall and putting a billboard there. We don't sell anything.
Yeah.
We're not trying to sell anything. We're just telling you we're using a medium where people hang out at. And we're showing you that we have something so you could probably come to our store. But it's not that we're trying to sell you something.
Yes.
Whereas it's very different for a comedian who uses social media as his
To
medium
sell shows and
to
tickets.
propagate whatever it is he's doing.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, okay, listen. So you have to separate the difference between user-created social media
Yes.
and media which is designed to inform. And I'm glad that she, when she responded to the question, she's like, you're right.
Yeah.
You notice that she was like,
She's
you're right.
operating within the standards of their statistics.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And their statistics are not wrong. The problem is that we're calling this social media, and the word to a certain degree is well used because to a certain degree social media is that.
Yes.
But there is a very huge difference between journalism
And social
and
media.
social media.
So, oh my God, yes. There's nothing I can say that doesn't agree with what you just said.
Yeah.
I'm like, wait a second. You can't compare Facebook to the Wall Street
Yeah.
Journal. How dare you?
And I think that was a general sentiment in the room, though.
I think it was, but I'm glad that she was like, you're right.
Yeah.
We have to a certain degree, work on separating these things, because then it's not that people don't trust in journalism.
Yes.
They don't trust in user-generated content.
Yes.
That is a good way of discerning it, for sure.
Yeah.
I think that's a good way of putting it. User-generated content, especially if it incorrectly recollects news.
Yeah.
And I think that should be the main thing, because there was a whole section about fake news, about news outlets having too much of a slant. Like that was a worthy data point.
But then she made a very interesting point. She's like, you know what? But the younger people are, the less they trust on the social media, the more discerning they are. And she mentioned the very clear problem, and it's true. She was like, the problem with separating these things is that generations that are older than you think that if it's on Facebook, it's the law.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
and she's right.
You know what's so funny? Pulling in from personal experience, this was actually my final college paper. It was traditional journalism versus online journalism. And it was a small paper. I won best paper, but that's not the point. The point is, the final conclusion that we had on that paper was that, yes, online platforms, meaning journalists who work solely for websites as opposed to journalists who work for newspapers. Like, even if there is a rise on online journalism, there is still a big number who believe and who feel that when it's on paper, it legitimizes the news. Yeah. And I think it
requires more effort to a certain degree.
So I think if you put that into the perspective, that's how it got muddled. Because now she's saying that social media is media, and it's like,
yeah, I'm like, you're telling me that the deterrent to the impression that the market has is social media. Why are you mixing it together?
Yeah, exactly.
It shouldn't be mixed
together. That is a
together.
very good point. Yeah. Real quick, can you scoot up a bit?
Oh, okay.
Forward a little. Perfect.
Okay.
All right. Well, that's IFA GPC, and I think I'm honestly impressed. I didn't know what to expect coming here, and we're here off of your recommendation, so thank you, Jaime. And I'm actually really impressed with the amount of insight that I've gained from these meetings. Because the way that I would describe it to anybody out there who has been to a conference, like let's say it's Comic-Con and you want to go to the panels where people are actually kind of speaking on stage about a thing that you're interested in.
Yeah.
At CES, at the actual IFA, or at MWC, these are the kinds of talks that we don't normally go to. This GPC is all of that.
It's all that.
Yesterday was like, they called them power briefings too, and I thought it was really funny because you were warning us, like, we're gonna get up each time and go to another room. They're gonna keep you awake. It's an ingenious methodology. Which I thought was hilarious.
To be perfectly honest, though, from my point of view, I was expecting a long, boring day, but I was super into what they talked about. I was super into, I don't know, smart kitchen appliances and things.
Exactly. I think that, listen, there was this kid who came up to me in Showstoppers, and he was like, I study at MIT and I have this YouTube channel. He's really an awesome kid. And it's like if the conversation was steering over how YouTube is growing and how it's not that he was second guessing his career or anything, but it's how common it is for people to drop out of college and not finish their careers over this. And I'm like, no, don't do that.
Yeah.
The best thing you can do to be able to give purpose to your channel is to be educated.
Exactly.
The more education you provide to your content, the more you're able to provide useful content to people. And honestly, for me, I remember the first GPC that I did. Honestly, at the beginning, just like you, I was a little confused. But then when they started with the stats, I'm like, all right, the problem is I'm a stats worm. And so if this is useful to some people or not, that's fine. For me, it is. Because this helps me understand where the market is going, where we need to push, where, if you notice, the tendencies for smart speakers or smart or wireless audio are still not even close being a paradigm shifter or anything of the sort, a disruptor. But at least we know that that's the market that's growing. So it's now. It's not when it's already popular that you adopt that. You have to be part of that growth.
Yeah.
It's
if you want to grow along with it.
Yeah. It's funny for me because I'm the opposite. You give me data, I'm like, numbers. No. But
math was my favorite class.
No. I will not.
So for example, when they did that slide over how the price has grown, the 100% slide, and then how it keeps, like, for me that made perfect sense, but everybody was fumbling on it.
Like, what's going on? But my point is, like, despite me having a really high bar for information being given to me in terms of like numbers and charts and stuff, like, I was actually super into it. It's like every time they say something, I'd be like, oh my gosh, I need this. I need to take a photo of this because it is something that applies.
I think he just needed to work on a better analogy. He should have used the car and be like, if a car costs $20,000 at 30 years ago, right now it costs this.
Yeah.
But if you apply the inflation, it's not going to really cost that. You know, and so 100% is that 20,000, and the 47,000 that it costs now, that's the growth.
Yeah.
But then when you apply inflation, it's nothing.
Yeah.
It's literally actually gotten cheaper.
Yeah.
If you apply inflation, stuff like that.
Okay.
Interesting.
Since we're not really crunched on time, but we do have an event in a little bit, so we're going to make sure to be done within the next half hour.
Yeah.
Isa, what is in your pocket now? And you can pick anything that you've been using.
What do you mean, like
any everyday product that you might use that you want to showcase a little bit?
So I have been carrying around 2 phones. You know this. I have the P30 and I have the Honor View 20.
When did you get that View 20, by the way? Because we've been doing a lot more with it lately.
Oh, because I just got this.
Okay.
So what's great about Honor right now? Wow. No, it's funny because I was at the View 20 launch with you guys, but I finally got my hands on the device because Honor contacted me and they want, like, we're going full lifestyle on our line. So we need a woman to try to create content on it.
That's fantastic.
It is. And that's why you've seen the teasers for the Honor 20.
Yeah.
They've been telling me that it's a full-on lifestyle phone.
Fantastic.
So it's something that I'm excited about because every time a brand talks to me and says, you know what, this is what we need. We don't need the traditional tech. Like, we are going to you because it's a different perspective altogether. And I love it when they see that and when they appreciate that.
Good.
The same with the P30. I like this phone. I'm not.
You've been zooming in on everything.
Yes, that's true. But it's also I'm not a mate phone. What a mate phone user.
So people are
Does
starting
that
to
make
make this
sense? Mate
distinction
phone
more.
user.
P series, mate series.
I've never liked the Mate series.
See?
That's the thing, though. The P series.
I can't tell the difference.
It's know what?
Meaning. Okay, wait a second. No, I can. I actually prefer the Mate series. Sorry,
No, but
I fell into it
because I've noticed that a lot of guys like the Mate series more because the P series sounds or feels a little smaller, more compact, at least for me.
Oh, but not the P30 Pro.
Yeah.
Not that, but
The
that's why.
P30 Pro is a tank.
Yeah, but that's the thing though. This is a P30, which is perfect for me. I also
But
had the
you're
P20.
you're literally carrying a Mate 20 Pro right there with a different chassis and a different screen.
Yes, but it feels different, and it's
It's got better colors.
yeah.
I get it,
Honestly,
but
yeah.
literally what you're carrying there is a Mate 20 Pro.
Yes, that's true. But the Mate 20 Pro is wider, which is something I hate.
Really?
They're
It is.
they're about the same
Are
size.
they?
Yeah.
What am I talking about?
You were using the regular Mate 20, weren't you?
Yeah, you were using the Mate 20, which is larger.
The Mate 20, the Mate 20 Pro oddly was like the smaller
What,
device.
really?
They wanted it to be
Yes.
sleeker.
Yeah.
Like that was what Pro
The
meant to
Mate
them.
20 Pro is so sleek.
I'm
I
getting
love that
confused
phone.
with my phones now.
Yeah.
I
Well,
have
these are-
to double check.
Well, these are two good ones, and I've been seeing
Yeah.
you use the P30 quite a bit already. I see that you
Yeah.
hide the notch.
Oh no, I hate the notch. Oh god, it annoys me. I'm never. Yeah, no.
Do you have something in your pocket now that you
I
wanna-
have started using the Apple Watch again after like 4 months or something.
How is it? How is
Oh.
it going back?
So the only reason I carry an iPhone is 2 reasons. Social media. I remember I got this tweet the other day, and they're like, "You're reviewing Android phones. Why are you tweeting from an iPhone?" I sadly always have to carry an iPhone for our Instagram stories and for certain posts. I always have to carry an iPhone. I just don't use it as my primary phone because it's also my microphone amplifier with the Sennheiser microphone that I use. And so I actually try not to carry it around just because if I lose it, I'm like screwed for the daily stuff like that. I need a lightning port.
You have a very expensive microphone /
adapter. And so, I was like, you know what? It's time to revisit the Apple Watch. It's about time to do an After the Buzz. And so I was like, why not? I'll start using it again. And now I keep getting reminded of why Apple makes the ugliest, worst from a material standpoint, best smartwatch in the frickin' market.
Why?
This is the ugliest watch. I would never recommend this watch from a materials perspective because it's glass and aluminum. But it still is the best platform.
Yeah, the apps.
Yeah.
The apps. Isn't that's been Apple's
if
whole
we
deal.
if we could get a Samsung Gear S3
With that
running
kind of-
Watch OS, I would be down.
So I'm curious actually. And I've told Joshua this because I do a lot of like smartwatch things, and obviously I have a different focus when I do, right? But one thing that I've noticed is that when you try on different smartwatches, they sort of run on very, very different platforms, and that annoys me because I'm not very patient. Like people from my demographic, I see a pretty thing, I want to use it, but then setting up and trying to figure out how to go around it, it's
Yeah.
like, what is going
No,
on?
and smartwatches are still the worst.
Yes, they
like
are.
smartwatches are not at the level of AirPods where you
Yeah.
could just pull them out of the case and your phone immediately detects it. Like setting up a smartwatch is a nightmare. But I feel that because of iOS's approach to notifications
Yeah.
and their approach to applications, apps on this smartwatch are actually useful.
No, so I'm actually curious about setting up an Apple Watch.
I'll give you an example. If I use Spotify, the moment so obviously I've been using AirPods for a week. So the moment that I open my AirPods, put them on, the iPhone automatically detects them. I
that's
unlock,
awesome.
I launch Spotify. I press whatever app that I want, and I will literally just put the phone in my pocket and I'll just start walking. Because immediately the Spotify application launches on the Apple Watch.
And you have
immediately.
full control.
Seamless.
And I have full control from my watch. And so you use the digital crown to raise the volume. You swipe to the left to see your playlist. You swipe to the right to see the song list. And right there you can put if you want, shuffle or
Yeah.
right there. All in 3 panes.
That's so seamless. Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay,
You're
actually.
missing
Yeah.
your
Okay,
iPhone.
No,
so
I am.
and so you know what the irony is? Like the first ever platform that called on integration for Spotify was Samsung's Tizen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Their application still sucks.
It does.
Yes.
It's terrible.
Yes.
It's
a pretty watch.
Wear OS did the same thing. It's terrible.
I think the only smartwatch I've actually seen you enjoy enough lately has been the Watch GT. But the reason why
Yes.
it actually looks good, it's a good looking watch, but its functionality is actually cut
I
down.
hate that
Yes.
watch. It's such a beautiful watch, but I'm like,
is.
why are you creating another operating system? Damn
Yeah.
it!
But the thing is, it's so minimal that it doesn't bother her.
Yeah.
That minimalism is fine so long as it doesn't exceed itself. If you get an Instagram notification and then a text message, you can't tell the difference.
That's true.
Yeah, that is true.
It'll use the same green bubble for everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you don't know what you're getting. And so it completely defeats the
Yeah.
purpose of getting a
I
notification.
just hate getting notifications on my wrist to begin with.
I
That's
get
that,
it.
that's
I
that's
like
been the
it.
whole
I
thing.
get it. You're using your Chronobee.
Yep.
I really, really, really wanted to love that Chronobee.
But
And
you
then
need
I
a little
didn't.
more, right?
No,
You-
it's not that.
Oh, what?
It's just it's too archaic. Like for example, if you use one of the Skagen,
the Yorn or whatever.
if you use one of those, you can actually tailor notifications more than on the Chronobee. You either tell it that you're getting WhatsApp notifications, but then
Or-
if you've got 5 different contacts that are contacting you, can't distinguish the difference between one and the other.
Yeah.
And so you've got so many hand combinations, but you can't really take advantage of them.
That's true. Well,
Well, they do have the Chronobee Lab thing where you can set magic words and it'll only go off based upon those words. So I have the word Isa as the magic word. So it doesn't matter
I'm a
what app
magic
it is.
word.
If Isa messages me on Messenger or on a text or she calls me or
So
she,
I need to
So-
start dating somebody
so
with a
I-
unique name.
so that's
you know what, you're absolutely right because there are other people who have Isa in their name.
Can you
Yeah.
imagine? Can you imagine me being in Latin America and having people named Carlos or Carla?
Oh
or
God, no. But
Maybe
I
put the
think-
full name.
I think another difference is I'm not very discerning when it comes to functionalities because unlike you, I like my notifications. Like I just enjoy them. Like if I get one, I look at them, whatever. But I'm still on my phone.
I just don't like I don't like spending the time looking at my wrist that I would have used looking at my phone anyway.
I just unpacked my time management favorite book of all time from back in 2003 when I actually got my life back together.
That sounds interesting.
I started reading chapter 1 and I am reminded of why I despise notifications.
Well,
There you go.
to be fair, I've been using the Fitbit Versa Lite, but only because they let you put Bitmoji watch faces. So it's literally a mini me that changes at every single point
She has
in
a
the
version
day.
of herself like Vanna Whiting.
That is so
my
vain.
gosh! Like
That
at
is so
bedtime,
vain.
it's so funny. At bedtime,
You're
you
the
can see
best.
mini Bitmoji me in bed in pajamas.
That's
And
fabulous.
the
That's
morning,
hilarious.
like there's
I need to buy that for my daughter. She's gonna love
oh my
that.
god!
It's just
blowing
that
my
level.
mind.
It's that
No,
level
I'm
of,
serious. I need to buy that for my daughter. She go
You
crazy
should.
over that.
It's oh gosh, oh my gosh.
It's that
I
level
love
of
it.
personalization that someone like her is really
Yeah.
into, which is why all the smart appliances and products that they've been talking about here are right up your alley.
Oh my gosh! So for context, they just announced this app which will allow you to wash.
You take a picture of your.
You literally take a photo of your dirty laundry, and then it tells you how to wash it. It's from Candy, and when they
a part
said
of
that,
Hire, yeah.
when they said that, Joshua looked at me and said, like, you need this.
Yeah. So what I realized, okay, before we get into our main topic, what I realized about all of that is smart appliances or smart products are more for the people who don't already know how to do it without that functionality.
Yeah.
I dream,
Which blew my mind. I was like, holy crap! Like that's the reason why you being there was
No.
so good, because I realized you are the
I
demographic.
dream of a house where I can walk in, and it's like, okay, half of the time in my life, I feel like I'm a pretend adult. And like, I am an adult, but like, sometimes there are practical things that I have no idea how to do. I'm like, oh, you're supposed to do that. And people laugh in my face, and I'm like, but no one teaches me that. No one says that. Like,
That's not really your fault.
No. You remind me of me when I got my first house.
oh my gosh.
I walk in the next day. There was the storm. There was a dead animal in the yard because
What
of
do
the
you do with
storm.
that?
Exactly. I look at it and I'm like, crap. I'm the man of the house. Damn
That
it.
is me. I need to deal with it.
I can't call anybody
oh
now.
my gosh. No,
I'm like,
but it's like,
damn it.
it's crazy. I feel like, okay, just get this. My Google search is basically how to put on glitter manicure or how to cook chicken or will yogurt keep? Do I have to
Overcooked.
I have no idea.
And then Google comes back with call your boyfriend.
No, but it's also different, I guess, with when you're the, how do I explain this? For example, smart fridges. People are always saying, who needs a fridge that will talk to you? And I'm like,
I'm the first one.
oh my gosh, I want it. The very first overseas event I covered for GadgetMatch showed me what the Samsung Family Hub is, and I want it every year. Like, I know I'd made it if I have a family hub in my kitchen.
Well, you can't
That
really.
is like my...
I'm going to consider a fridge smart the moment that I put things into it. It knows what they are, and it controls temperature depending on what it is.
Oh, I thought he was gonna say
That's smart.
when you put your stuff in the fridge.
So
and
for
then
me,
you
I don't
open-
need for my fridge to talk to me or to show me Twitter. I need for it to be smart. I need for it to know that if I'm loading my beer, that's where things have to be the coldest. But then it shouldn't
That's a good idea.
it shouldn't overfreeze my meat. And it shouldn't overfreeze that.
Okay.
And if
that's smart.
if I put vegetables, that's what I need products to be smart about. Like, for example, that smart sensor that they had here
Oh,
for
yeah,
cooking.
yeah.
Like there's the sensor
That's
that
amazing,
detects
yeah.
if you're not cooking, it detects that there's no activity, and it detects that the temperature's just
Yeah.
like playing around there. And if there's Bluetooth connectivity with the stove, it'll turn it off.
Yeah.
That for me.
Well,
and that
kitchen
product
thing
is a perfect
yeah.
example of
That
it
for
moving
me
in
is
that.
useful. I don't see. Here's the thing. I don't need another appliance in my house to distract me. I need appliances in my house to help me focus. That's what I need. I need a refrigerator that
getcha.
helps me not have to worry about where I put the damn vegetables. I need a stove that helps me to remember that I forgot to turn it off.
I don't know. I'm probably that.
Like, for example, you have a smoke detector. Smoke detectors, for the longest of time, have been smart about one thing that I hate, which is the first thing they'll do is turn on the sprinklers. I don't want you to turn on the sprinklers. I want you to turn off whatever's on.
Yeah, that's true.
You know?
Definitely.
That.
Okay.
Okay, that's smart, but I'm also probably the same person who will sit in the kitchen and start talking to my fridge and it talks back. And it's It's just something that I have always dreamed about. I don't know.
All right. Well, fridges are not really things you can fit in your pocket. So let's get back to things that you can fit in your pocket.
That we could fit into our pockets before we had to send back.
Exactly. I was really hoping that you were going to have it with you. We're
I
talking
tried.
about the Galaxy
tried.
Fold, of course.
I tried.
The thing is, are you the only person who didn't break it? Feel like even the good Michael Fisher said a little bit of speck of dust got in the middle, and all
I'm
of a sudden
shocked that I
it's
didn't
broken.
break it because like it fell off my hands once.
Uh-oh.
Actually, there's a Pocketnow Daily episode where it fell off the couch.
In the
as
background
well.
or something?
In the background,
Oh
I
my
could just
God, that's
and I could
funny.
just hear the thunk, and I'm like, "Damn it!" But sadly, yes, Samsung. They reached out. You know, it was a 10-day loaner. We knew that we had. So I find it sad when I started seeing so many. There were certain publications that were becoming, how do you call it? When they're overly dramatic about things. Sensationalist about, reviewers were required to send them like. Yes,
Yeah.
we
That's
signed a
how loaners
document
work.
that said and so it's hilarious when we're preparing the daily script and Sam reaches out to me and he's like, we're going to include this and this, and I'm like, no, take that off. That's not the facts. The facts are that we were told that we had to send it back 10 days anyways.
Yeah.
So we knew that it was just a loaner.
That's why I was hoping you would have it, but I knew that it was not going to be.
We knew that it was a loaner.
Yeah.
Samsung knew that I was going to come here to Spain, and so they knew that, and I told them like, listen, I have to travel, so I won't be able to send it back to you on the date where my 10 days are over.
Okay.
I will pack it up and ship it back to you as soon as I'm back, which is Sunday. That was the first call. Then the second call is like feedback. Then the third call is, can we go pick it up?
Yep.
Oh, there you go.
And you know what? I don't blame them because if you had come here with that fold, all of us would have been messed.
Exactly.
You are basically walking into the one place that they do not want you to be with that phone.
Exactly. I would be the only person with a Galaxy Fold here. So I get it. I understand
The
why.
liability would have gone through the roof.
My gosh.
Exactly. No, so I totally understand the reason why. I like that Marquez did another video over talking about it. I think that John Rettinger who did it as well? No, it was Michael. Michael Fisher did another video. Listen, I know that just like in the case of AntennaGate and then Bengate and then so many other cases and then the exploding batteries, I know that right now the hot topic is, does it bend? Did it explode?
Yeah.
Do your phone calls
Why
work?
is it breaking?
Yeah.
And I know that people want me to be sensationalist about the product and complain about it, but I am one of the few people that's had it. I am one of the many people who did not believe in it. I am even surprised that I got invited because the Samsung, like
I'm looking at you, Samsung.
No. I'm surprised that I was invited because we had conversations with PR and they were like, "You really don't like foldables, do you?" Because and this was like MWC. This was CES, and they were like. And I'm like, why? Well, all your dailies and your news, you're always like, it's always a solution in search of a problem. You don't need a foldable. The problem is the moment that I grabbed the Mate X.
Yeah.
That changed everything. That changed everything for me. I was like, crap.
It's awesome.
Nobody needs this, but it is so cool. It is so damn cool.
Okay, just pausing there because that is how I feel about talking fridges. But go on.
All right.
Yeah.
So it is. I have to, like in the case of the recall for the Note 7. You know what it's like if you sold millions of a specific product the year prior, for you to be willing to take the hit of recalling a product completely, just to be able to, one, protect your consumers, obviously, but second, it's like we would rather lose money than
Lose users.
than to lose consumers and to lose the trust of the market.
Trust.
I am happy. I am happy, and I even said it in the conversation with because Diego, my son, he was like, I think that the best thing that Samsung could have ever done was send you that fold.
Yeah, I've been seeing a lot of tweets about that where people are saying Samsung owes a huge debt to all of us, really,
Yeah.
that would be able to test this device and actually put out into the public that, like, there's something wrong with this right
Yeah.
now. And then Samsung to have the wherewithal to say, even though 2 weeks ago, wasn't it, that they were like, yeah, we see some problems, we'll investigate, but we're going to go full steam ahead.
We're going to go full steam ahead.
And then to recall them all, not recall them, but you're absolutely right though. There's some sensationalism involved, and I'm really happy. I mean, that's part of the reason why we like working together. Like, there's that certain amount of like honesty and honor involved. So good on you in that case. David Kogan, when I had him on for a segment called Spill the Tea that I have on my Instagram TV, on my IGTV, I had him come on to talk about the Galaxy Fold,
Where
and
he spilled coffee.
Yeah, he literally. The guy is so extra. Kogan.
He's Kogan.
I was like, don't steal my segment because you're doing my segment a little bit too good right now, bro. But anyway, I had him come on, and normally I use smartphones for it, but he used like his A7 for it. But in any case, he said that he was skeptical of many of the publications and many of the people who had the Fold saying that theirs broke too. Yeah. When in reality, probably what the case was they were seeing some break, and then they were like, let's try to make that happen.
Between the time that Mark Gurman, Marquez, and Todd Hazelton, which is not Todd, it's his colleague at CNBC, 3 Galaxy Folds broke. 3.
And
now,
then all of them.
I'll tell you that 3. That's all that broke. 2 of them because of user error.
Yes.
1 of them because it genuinely broke.
Yeah. That's
2 because of user error. 1 because it genuinely broke. I'm not going to blame user error as well because our units did not have the do not remove the protective film.
Yeah. And when Marquez is like, oh, what the hell? Like,
I remove the screen protector out of every OnePlus phone the moment I get it. So I totally understand Marquez.
Yeah.
I say user error because it was user inflicted, but not because it's necessarily an error. It's just what we call it.
Yeah.
But in the particular case of this device, I'm like, no, like the rest of us didn't have any problems with it. Oh, Michael, his had a minor bump. Okay, so my unit on the second day had like a weird tilt on the crease, but it happened for like a day and then it went away.
Yeah.
Like it's like if it aligned itself over time. Here's the thing. We have a problem. And this is the reason why I like Marquez's video. If you haven't watched it, it's a 15-minute video and it's so worth it. Marquez is such a talented guy and I have so much admiration for him. He's like, listen, there's so much to love about this product that it starts with the fact that finally mobile technology is not boring anymore. Yes. We've been talking about flat slabs for so long, and this is the first unique product that we talked about in how much time?
Yeah, 100%.
Now, is a new form factor always, oh my God. If you ask me if I would recommend the first Apple Watch, the second, never.
Yes.
If you watch my videos, I do not recommend them. In the third review, I was like, eh.
He went on a fantastic rant once on the Weekly about the Apple Watch. I remember this.
Yeah. Once they launched Generation 4, I was hooked.
Yeah, there you go.
I was hooked. No, I even tell people it's a first generation Apple product. I didn't get the first generation AirPods.
Yeah.
I got the Apple Watch because I had to review it. But I didn't get the first generation iPhone. I regret getting the first generation Retina MacBook Pro. It was trash. People complain over the keyboards of the second generation with the change. Listen, I know about the curse of the early adopter. Would I recommend that you buy the Galaxy Fold? No.
Yeah.
Not because it's a bad product, but because you're part of that demographic that's going to show the brand where they have to go from here.
Yeah.
Where they have to correct things.
And you can be both. Like, let's put it this way: the tribalism on, let's say, Twitter or YouTube comments that say this thing is trash.
It's not.
This thing is trash. Why did this ever happen? Blah blah blah. I mean, come on. Like I said on the podcast,
wait a second. Come on. Every single phone before 2007 had a plastic screen.
Yep.
Every single one. The iPhone, well, it was an LG device, the first one with a capacitive screen. But the first one to actually use mainstream glass was Apple. And they were horribly criticized. It was like, how are you going to use glass on a phone? When that thing falls, it'll break. The Nintendo Switch is plastic. Why? Because kids are using it.
Yeah.
They don't want to put up with having to replace broken screens.
Also, glass don't bend.
And that is then the other topic that I'm like, you can't bend glass. What do you want to I was like, can we try any other material that'll also blend, like plexiglass? Well, no, plexiglass doesn't bend. That's
it doesn't,
true.
and it's supposed to be brittle. So like that's the thing. You could be both. I think that it's gotten to a point now where because we live in such an opinionated medium, especially
Which
on
is
YouTube,
beautiful. There's nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with that. But the thing is, the fact that we, as your, let's say, thought leaders, let's put it that way, the fact that influencers, thought leaders, was it KOLs? Key opinion leaders.
Wait, we're still laughing. Okay, yes, the key opinion.
Keep going.
leader.
All right. So the fact that we can love or hate a product and that would influence whether or not you purchase it, that's fine. But not everything is black or white. So if we can say don't buy this. We can say don't buy this product. You should never buy this product. Not now, not right now, but we still love it.
Guys, let's talk about OnePlus. Think about it. OnePlus 1 was okay. OnePlus 2 was a mess.
Yes.
OnePlus 3 was like the first one where things started getting, and then came the 3T, and it's like, okay, they've matured.
Yeah.
The OnePlus 5 came out now, but my first reviews, I'm lucky that the first OnePlus device that I reviewed was the 3T, because I didn't put up with any of the past.
No, but it's also, what did you expect?
I love the OnePlus 1,
everyone was so used to the way phones are. You give them a new form factor, no one knows how to use them or how screen protectors and foldy phones work, but it happens.
And I told them, like, because they asked me, like, we want your honest opinion over what you feel about the Fold. And I'm like, okay, this is like me at the time when I moved from using BlackBerries for 4 years and having to move to using a capacitive screen. You have to understand, we came from T9 to the BlackBerry.
Wait, what is the T9?
T9
You don't know what T9 is? Coming from the texting capital of the world, it's when you get text input from the number pad.
Wait, I know what the T9... No one has ever told me it's a T9.
Yeah, that's the name of it.
I need a machine to tell me that. But
T9, we came from T9 to BlackBerry keyboards. And so anything was better than T9.
Yes.
Anything was better than T9.
The thing is, when you were efficient with T9, like that was a point of pride.
Oh, dude,
if you had to really love that girl if she had more than one S in her name.
As what was it, 80?
I think that this is the reason why catch names like My Love or Babe became more popular than calling her Samantha.
Definitely.
Or something like that. But listen,
my gosh.
So, moving to the iPhone for me was a paradigm shift. To even before, I was already using Pocket PCs and we used the stylus and we typed one letter at the time.
Yes.
One letter at the time. And so for me moving to the iPhone, because I'm multilingual, the beauty that I had with the BlackBerry is there was no text prediction. So I literally had to know where I was typing. I was forced to know.
Which was awesome.
And therefore, it's like trying to remember phone numbers back in the day.
Yeah.
Try that now. I forget my own phone number because I never call myself.
Let me put this out there real quick. Like, what I heard from a friend of mine back in college is if you memorize someone's number, that means they're actually important to you.
Nah, whatever.
No.
So I'm going to put that out there. Maybe we should do that more. We should do that more, man.
But the point that I'm trying to make,
What's my number?
143.
Oh, nice.
The point that I'm trying to make is, in the case of foldables, for me it was difficult because the Galaxy Fold is a very different approach to the Mate X. The Galaxy Fold is a tablet that's trying to be a phone. The Mate X is both.
Okay.
It can be a phone and only a phone.
And
it can be a tablet and only a tablet.
Xiaomi's too.
Xiaomi's too. And so the biggest problem with the Fold for me was getting used to, having to consciously make the decision to open it, to interact with it better, because the keyboard on the small screen was that was bad. That was bad. I actually started using Swipe. I had never used Swipe before that. I was forced just because my thumbs, like 2 of my thumbs will cover the screen.
Yeah.
And so
that small screen is a smartwatch.
It's worse than a smartwatch. At least the smartwatch understands that it's a smartwatch and it just won't give you certain options because they just don't make sense. The problem is Android doesn't understand that it's being shown in such a small screen that it's not usable. And so SwiftKey, for example, because SwiftKey is not optimized for the foldable paradigm, it would split inside, but then it would also split outside because it doesn't understand that I don't want it to split outside.
Yeah.
And so I made a video where it's the interesting things about the Galaxy Fold, and it was it's that transition period. And so if it was one of my best friends that would come up to me and be like, should I buy the Galaxy Fold? My answer would be no.
Yeah. Same.
So
Unless you're somebody like David Kogan, who actually paid for it.
What?
David Kogan actually
That's
put
crazy.
money down, and he's waiting for his final unit.
Well, this was after he used it for a bit?
Yeah, no, he used it, and he's like, I bought one. And I'm like, why? He's like, well, I knew we had to give it back, and I actually like it. And so, once you get used to it, it's very hard to go back to a regular phone.
That's what
actually,
I keep hearing.
I want to say that compared to you guys, I'm pretty new in the tech space. And this is one lesson that I had to learn because prior to testing out phones, I was a diehard Apple fan. Like I was that girl who had an iPhone, an iPad, and my MacBook, and I would not switch anything for the world. And when I started reviewing Android phones, it was so different to me. And what was so scary was the learning curve because I hate that. And what I loved about my iPhones was the fact that even without being a techie, without any knowledge at all, it was so natural.
Yeah, but you know why that is?
Why?
What Apple revolutionized is not necessarily how phones should be. It's the fact that they made it the simplest form.
Yes.
When Steve Jobs comes into the presentation, he's like, let's remove all these buttons and have just one with a giant screen.
Yeah.
Back then, 3.5 was giant compared to the 2.2 that we were using.
Yep.
And so the problem is when you go over simplistic, when it becomes so basic, when you bring the idea to its most simplest form, that anything else is going to feel like a step back once you get used to it.
Yes. So that was the lesson that I learned. That it's like just because you're not used to something doesn't necessarily make it less better than what you know.
Yeah.
And especially in this industry where everything is changing,
Yeah.
you actually welcome that change because that change is the innovation that everyone's been asking for. So it's just so weird to me because I personally was not as excited about the folding phone for various reasons, such as if we're going to fold the phone, I want it to fold smaller so that it will fit my pocket. Why get a bigger device and make it the normal size?
Yeah.
But, all these other feelings. But at the same time, I don't hate it or I don't want it to fail because I see where they're trying to go and it's exciting.
Yeah.
Like whether or not this phone is great, this specific phone,
it's like
still
Apple Watch Series 1. It's like it's like the first, oh my god, you remember the first Galaxy, the gear, the first Galaxy Gear?
The one that wrapped around.
The first, yeah,
Oh my
no,
God.
but before that, the Samsung, I forget the name of it.
Oh, the Gear Live. That was the one with Android Wear.
Before that,
What?
even before that, when Tizen came, that first smartwatch was terrible. But that was the first ever smartwatch.
Yes.
It was even before Pebble. I forget the name of it.
Yeah, same.
I forget the name of it. But, the point is...
It's a necessary foundation.
It's a necessary foundation. It is the only way products are going to converge.
Yeah.
If you ask me which approach do I like more, I prefer the Mate X. Just because it's less of a paradigm shift.
Yeah.
It's less of a paradigm shift. It feels like a Note 9. You can use it as a phone whenever you want. Open it, and you can use it as a tablet whenever you want. I prefer that approach. I just can't imagine the moment somebody drops that thing.
So do you think Samsung is actually going to be able to add more measures to make sure that these breaks don't happen?
I believe so because the way the protective film, not just the protective film, but also the bezel design, I feel that bezel should have covered the protective film.
Okay.
I feel that the protective film should go
okay.
inside the bezel and not allow users to access it.
Because pessimistically, I keep thinking that Samsung's just going to put more warning labels on it.
No. I think that the smartest thing, if you see the teardown from iFixit, that is actually like a sort of a sticker. It's heat pasted on top. They should just make that bigger.
And cover the edges, right?
Cover the edges,
Okay,
and
that
that
makes
way
sense.
nobody can access. Obviously, it's gonna make for an even more gigantic bezel, but no, because you already have that notch. Pretty much just make everything the thickness of the notch, and that's it.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
That's
And we
it.
get no notch. Yay!
But like
it.
I was saying in Spill the Tea, when that second wave comes in with the new release date,
So if
maybe
you
put
ask
us
me-
in the mix. I'm just saying.
if you ask me
I'd
what-
love to use it too.
If you ask me what's gonna be more durable, I can't say that it's going to be the Galaxy Fold because the front and the back are glass. They're going to break as well.
Yeah.
And then the inside is
you're
plastic.
Right, you're right. You could drop that
whereas
thing.
in the Mate X, the outside is plastic. I can't imagine what happens to a plastic display when it falls on its face into concrete.
You get those divots. You get those like.
But I'm curious about how it feels though, because I'm specifically I'm very particular about.
Take that out and bring your other phone. Just put them both together.
Oh,
and that's literally
literally how it feels.
Oh,
it's literally a sandwich of hardware. It is the thickest phone I've used in years.
Also, battery life for days, right? Wasn't it great?
Oh, whoa. Okay, so because that OLED is thinner, I'm like, wait a second. This battery is smaller than what's on the S10. Is it or is it not? No, it's a little larger, minor, but like the battery life is insane. It's great.
Because isn't there two? There's two batteries, right?
There are two batteries, but they're in milliamps. They're pretty much the size of an S10 Plus, and I don't get that battery life on my S10 Plus.
No, I don't know.
And so again, the market doesn't need it, but the only way for any market to grow is thanks to early adopters.
Do stuff, yeah.
Thanks to early adopters, and so I express it. I need to stop being so pessimistic.
Well, okay. To defend that, we have been in this industry for quite a while. Like you're a bit younger in the terms of this industry, but we have been complaining throughout 2015, 16, 17 about how phones seem to be stagnating. There's not a whole lot of fun. Phones are fun again.
Yeah.
We have job security too.
But the thing about it is, I don't know where the market is going to go. I do know that the only way to make tablets popular is to fit them into phones. In any other way, people really don't care about tablets that much.
Yes.
I feel that it's a great idea. I feel that the materials are not there. There's so much more to learn, but the only way they're going to learn is if they do it. And so I was the first person to mock the Galaxy Note. Now I can't live without it. I was the first person to mock the iPhone when it came out.
Yeah.
No comment on that.
What do you have on your wrist?
I have passionate discussions over how much I hate the Apple Watch and I'm wearing it.
Yeah.
I can't believe I went to pick up a pair of AirPods, but I've been using them and I like them.
You know what? Jaime was a contrarian before we ever
So
said
I have been the number one contrarian of foldables.
Thunder E, you get a pass now.
You get a pass. I have been the number one contrarian of foldables, telling you I can't wait to get my unit back.
There you go.
That says a lot.
And okay, I think that should pretty much cover that. Yeah, we have a lot to say about the Galaxy Fold, the delays that are happening. Did they say when they're going to actually release it?
So AT&T said June 11th.
That's a while.
It is a while, but think about it. They were already in mass production. What are you going to do?
That's true.
They'll most likely throw all this bash to the trash and produce again.
You can't doctor the existing units.
No, I don't think they would. I think, just like smartphone companies do with batches, where they will create a specific batch and destroy it just to see how it...
fair. Yeah.
That's most likely what they're going to do. I mean, there weren't many. I mean, in my briefing alone, we were like 9 people, and there were 4 briefings. So how many devices were out there?
Yeah, we were actually supposed to get briefed in Singapore.
I
but
heard
even
that
then
they were a total of 100 units.
Oh, there you go.
That's what I heard.
That's two. How much is that? $20,000? $200,000? That's $200,000.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Wow.
Wait, that's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money. So no wonder they were so exclusive with the Unitree. All right, cool. Well, I think that should pretty much do it. We do have a thing going on pretty soon, so we're going to get Jaime back.
My watch because I have to go change.
Yeah. So, that's coming from IFA GPC. Like I said earlier, I'll do the intro and outro at the end here outside of this recording, but I will make sure that Isa, you can let them know where to find you all over the internet.
Oh, I'm at Cisa said all over. Wait, no, that's just Instagram and Twitter.
Which is everything now.
Yeah. And then you can follow Her GadgetMatch and visit hergadgetmatch.com.
All right. If you want to get a little bit of a behind the scenes look at some of the stuff, she does do some vlogs also over on her channel on YouTube. That's youtube.com/IsaDoes. So you can check that one out too.
Things. Kidding.
Jaime, go ahead and let them know.
You can find me here. I'm here every day. Damn it. Or on Instagram at Jaime Rivera. It's always a pleasure, man.
All right. And you know me, I'm JV. I love tech and I love to drink me some tea. Find me on Instagram and Twitter at JVTechT. You can also check out some other content over at youtube.com/Joshua Vergara. We did not get to the Oppo Reno, but we did get a video out on it. I was able to get a video out on it. The two of us were there. Some of you guys had a lot of fun watching Issa in the background of that video. It was a fun format for a hands-on.
You know what? That wasn't the only clip that had me dancing, but it was the only one that made it.
When I was in the editing, I looked at it and I'm like, I'm going to leave it. It's funny. So that was a fun video, but I did use that phone as my vlogging machine while out in Zurich, so you could see that over at my channel as well. All right, let's go ahead and get into the outro. Well, on that note, that is it for the weekly. Our theme music is Bloom by Minerva, courtesy of a royalty-free license with Argo Fox. You can learn more in the episode's description. You can follow the crew on Twitter. You already heard the different handles for both Jaime and Issa, and then myself, I am at JVTechT. You know me, I love tech, and I love to drink me some tea. Pocketnow is at Pocketnow on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube in English and Espanol, where you can find more news on the Pocketnow Daily and Pocketnow Audio every weekday. Catch up on what the weekly is talking about at pocketnow.com/podcast. Also, make sure you make your voices heard by emailing us, podcast@pocketnow.com. We would certainly love your feedback through reviews and ratings on Google, Apple, Spotify, Overcast, or wherever you happen to be streaming us, because without you, we would not have been able to make the show for your eyes and ears for now over 7 years straight. All right, we'll see you in our next episode. Hopefully the jet lag is not going to mess us up too bad. That's the other reason why this episode came out a little bit later. I literally woke up past the noon hour after getting back from the trip, so bear with us on that one. But in our next episode, we'll be back in our respective studios, and we will look forward to seeing you then as well.